What makes my reviews unique? Rhinestoned hands is the answer. Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Chase and today I will be reviewing Ring of Honor's Final Battle pay-per-view, which was headlined by Claudio Castagnoli versus Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor World Championship, and also included a double dog collar match between FTR and the Briscoes for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship. As always, I'll be giving you my hot takes on the matches as well as revealing what I was the biggest fan of on the show. But before we get into that, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Stephanie M. Chase. Check out the links to my OnlyFans and merch below, and sign up to my Patreon where you can support this channel as well as getting exclusive content. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button. I am so close to 2,000 subscribers, and turn on notifications to always find out when I post new videos. Now, before we get into Final Battle, some Ring of Honor news. We have, of course, all been wondering and waiting on what the future holds for Ring of Honor. That's something that Tyler and I talked extensively about on my preview show. And, well, we found out on the post-show media scrum, Tony Khan announced that he was relaunching Honor Club. It's actually already been soft launched, and that is where weekly Ring of Honor television is going to live. Now, honestly, this is really on like the low end of expectations. Obviously, we wanted a TV deal for Ring of Honor. That didn't happen. I almost think this is maybe worse than putting it on YouTube. I understand why they wouldn't want to put it on YouTube, but putting it behind a paywall just makes it less accessible when you're trying to grow the brand. And they had been doing such a good job of growing and showcasing the brand on Dynamite, you know, having Chris Jericho as your champion. And now, especially after coming off what, spoiler alert, I thought was an amazing pay-per-view, everything's kind of hidden away behind a paywall. And I think that it was interesting how Tony made the announcement. He made it at the scrum. He didn't even make it at the beginning of the scrum. He waited until we'd spoken to all the champions except for the Briscoes, and then he announced it in this very long spiel about his relationships with Warner and all stuff like that, and hinting, while saying that he'd been talking to New Japan about working with Ring of Honor, but we'd find out more about that after Wrestle Kingdom. So just even the way the announcement was delivered showed that it really wasn't what he wanted, what would have been his first choice. And I think that fans probably feel the same. I mean, if it had been announced during the show, like before the main event or anything, it would have just absolutely telegraphed, you know, who was going to win, because yeah, Honor Club isn't really like the most prestigious platform to put the show on. But you know, we'll see how it does. You know, it's going to be $9.99 a month, and it's not going to have the pay-per-views on it because of the relationship with Warner. Tony's keeping those on Bleacher Report, so you're going to have to pay $9.99 a month to follow Ring of Honor, and then you're going to have to fork out for the pay-per-views as well. So it'll be interesting to see how much how big the numbers are for the next pay-per-view, how many people are willing to spend that much on following Ring of Honor. Now onto the show. First up, we had Blake Christian and AR Fox defeating Roosh and Dralistico. This was a perfect action-packed opener. There were some great spots, but I think what most people are going to remember was the finish. So we had Dralistico and AR Fox in the ring, and then Blake Christian did a dive to Roosh on the outside, but the referee kind of got in the way, and then Fox hit a 450 splash on Dralistico for the win, but Dralistico totally kicked out. So I don't know if this was a mistake from the ref or he was doing his best Bobby Fish tribute, but it was a very flat ending, left the crowd saying like, what the heck? And then after the match, there was this big beatdown. Roosh and Dralistico just went freaked out on Christian and Fox with chairs, and I don't know, that kind of felt like a reaction to how the finish went. So all in all, pretty good match, wild finish. Next, we had Athena defeating Mercedes Martinez to win the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. I absolutely love this match. As I said on my preview, everything with Athena, like the controversy she's had recently, the kind of controversy that, of course, only a woman could have. I love that she has built this into her character. Now she's just this hard-hitting badass. Mercedes Martinez was a great opponent for this. These two worked really well together. Shout out to the Ace Steel tribute spot. And yeah, absolutely loved it. Athena hits the Eclipse for the win. Great match, right decision. Athena, like a lot of ex-WWE stars, she struggled to find her place in AEW, and I think giving her the Ring of Honor Women's Championship is a really good thing, so she can kind of carve out her own space within everything under the Tony Khan umbrella, shall we say. Next, we had Swerve in Our Glory defeating Shane Taylor Promotions. So I thought this was a really enjoyable match. But my favorite parts were definitely between Keith Lee and Shane Taylor. These two big guys worked so well together. They have such great chemistry, as to be expected. I want to see more of Shane Taylor. I want to see him and Keith Lee have a singles match. They were really good. JD Griffey, he was making his Ring of Honor debut. He seemed to have like a MMA style gimmick. I thought maybe he didn't fit this match very well. In my opinion, he's kind of seemed like the odd one out. This match also advanced the Swerve and Keith Lee storyline. The finish came when Swerve he'd been mad at Keith Lee all match, and he just walked out on Keith Lee, like Keith Lee did to him. But Keith Lee actually didn't need Swerve because he won the match on his own. He hit a power slam on Taylor for the 1-2-3. And yeah, Keith Lee victorious without Swerve. We'll see what happens with these two in AEW. We then had the Embassy defeating Dalton Castle and the Boys to become the new Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. This was a really good match because the Boys are such great bump takers, especially when they're against bigger, stronger men. So absolutely perfect for this. Give me a boy, fling it at Brian Cage. Really good. Dalton, of course, is one of the most lovable people in wrestling. He's so great at just getting the crowd behind him and getting their energy levels to match him. It's sad that he lost the gold, but maybe it's for the best. I did hear that Dalton Castle has signed. I think it was mentioned on Talk is Jericho this week. Now, I don't know if that's signed to AEW or signed to Ring of Honor, but I really hope it's signed to AEW because I think Dalton would be great if he is fully in the AEW universe. There are so many great feuds that he could have, and he's just a great person to have on your weekly television. So more Dalton Castle, please. Maybe him losing the belts isn't a bad thing. Next, we had Wheeler Yuta defeating Daniel Garcia for the Ring of Honor Pure title. I will say that before this, there was a segment with Cool Hand Angelo Parker and Daddy Magic Matt Menard, where they got into it with Top Flight, got the better out of them, and I gotta say, 2023 should be their year. It should be Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker's year. This is a great tag team that are underutilized, and just please for a second imagine them in a feud with the Acclaimed, if you will. Think about it. It's money. Anyway, on to Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. These two are two of just the brightest prospects that we have, not just in AEW but in wrestling. This was a really good match, and I think that they worked the Pure rules so well with the feud and series that they've been having. You had Wheeler Yuta losing his rope breaks, all of his rope breaks early on, but of course he was taught by William Regal not to even need the rope breaks, and so I think that they worked this storyline well within the restrictions that the Pure rules give you. I think the commentary though could have done a better job of putting all this stuff forward, as well as putting the timing forward as well. But great match once again. I kind of feel like Daniel Garcia losing the title, a bit like what I said with Dalton Castle. I think it might be a good opportunity for him to move on. I don't need to go on again about the fact that I literally can't sleep at night sometimes because I think about what happened to Daniel Garcia's momentum. But hopefully in 2023 we can see him involved in another storyline again, where the crowd are so behind him, like they were earlier this year when he was being courted by Daniel Bryan and the whole You're a Wrestler thing. But another great match on the show. Next up, I don't even know how I can talk about this, but I'm going to do my best. We had the Briscoes defeating FTR in a double dog collar match to become the new Ring of Honor tag team champions. This was excellent. This was everything I love. It was so bloody. It was so violent. It was gory. There were chair spots. It was just wild. There was a chin. The referee even got bloody hair. What? it was so good. It was so emotional. It was so dramatic. It told such a great story between these two teams. It was their third match. And remember, the Briscoes aren't even, allowed on TV. We don't see weekly TV with the Briscoes, and they've built up such a great story between these two teams that I was just on the edge of my seat, like with tears in my eyes, emotionally invested. I was ready to absolutely gig myself just so I felt like a bigger part of this match. Mark took a crazy bump onto a pile of chairs. It was... We got to talk about the ending. So Dax was superplexed onto chairs for a near fall. And then Jay got a crossface on him using the chain. Cash tried to save him, but Mark held onto the chain and he couldn't make the save. He was just like reaching out for his tag team partner. It was so beautiful. Everyone was covered in blood. And then Dax passed out. Fantastic match. I cannot believe that my match of the year list is going to include 2 dog collar matches. If you haven't seen this match, you have to go back and watch it. It is worth the pay-per-view price alone. Do not make a match of the year list without watching this match. Absolutely incredible stuff. The post-match saw FTR be attacked by the Gun Club, but they were then saved by the Briscoes, showing the respect that these two teams now have for each other after going through this 3-match war. And Dax end up cutting a promo while lying like face down in the mat covered in blood, and the mic just popped up beside him. Just excellent, incredible stuff, and it was emotionally draining. And then we'll get on to the next match, because that was for the TV championship, Samoa Joe versus Juice Robinson. And I thought, God help anyone that has to follow this. And I'm not sure if it was the fact that they followed this match that hampered it, or just the fact that this is a match that really wasn't built at all. Juice Robinson, kind of in any context, whether it's Ring of Honor or New Japan, just doesn't excite me. Samoa Joe was coming off this incredible match with Darby Allin on Dynamite. There's no way he was topping that with Juice Robinson. I thought this was a perfectly fine match, and it was good for the crowd kind of just to have a bit of a breather before the main event. And on to the main event, where Claudio Castagnoli defeated Chris Jericho to become the new Ring of Honor World Champion. I thought this was a really awesome main event. We have seen these two guys face each other a couple of times. Jericho took the belt off Claudio. Claudio was in the 4-way at Full Gear. And I think the story of this match was these guys now know each other so well. We had, Claudio finding ways to get out of the Judas being hit and the code breaker as well. And then we saw Jericho do like a really awesome counter of the big swing into the walls. I thought this match was built really, really well. It really built to like the crescendo that was the end, with a lot of these fun spots. Now the ending, there's another excellent ending. This was so good, so perfect. So Claudio, he's been doing the big swings. Remember, Claudio did a big swing on Jericho on the top of the cage at Blood and Guts. I was there live. I was like actually scared. I thought that was terrifying. So Claudio is like really good at swinging Jericho. Like, he's up to take a swing. So Claudio gets Jericho in the swing. He's swinging him round and round and round and round, round and round and round and round, round and round and round and round. And to make it even cooler, when they get to 8, they chant Ocho. And he swung him round like 33 times, and Jericho tapped out. He tapped out in the swing. It reminded me of the time I was being swung around on a fairground ride. It was absolutely awful, and I was actually tapping out while my friend was turning green, but sadly they didn't stop the ride. Anyway, Claudio stopped the ride because he had just won the Ring of Honor World Championship. It is so cool. We have seen Claudio use the big swing for so many years. It's so impressive, but it's not like the finisher. And here we finally saw someone tap to the big swing. It was such a great idea. It made for such a cool ending, and I really loved this match. I think that Jericho's run as Ring of Honor World Champion has been excellent. I have enjoyed every moment of it, and I am very sad to see him lose the belt. But kind of like I said before, if we had known what the future of Ring of Honor was, it would have totally telegraphed it. Was Claudio the right guy for Jericho to lose to? No, because of like the caliber, like how great his storyline has been and all the different opponents he's had. But Claudio maybe is the right guy to lose to if the weekly television's on Honor Club. No slide on Claudio, but there are different levels. But yeah, great run as Ring of Honor World Champion. Great 2022 for Jericho. He's got to be on everyone's Wrestler of the Year list. Like, come on. Some of the stuff he's done this year, even most recently with Ishii. Wow. Yeah. But congratulations, Claudio. New era of Ring of Honor starts with him as champion. So, yeah, overall, I thought this was a really good show. It way exceeded my expectations. I know they added that dog collar match on last minute, and it really helped them with ticket sales as well. And boy, it was worth it. But that, the main event, and also like real shout out to Athena Mercedes Martinez as well. Just a great pay-per-view and a great length too, and a great time because it was on at 9 p.m. in the UK. And as for what I was the biggest fan of, well, I'm going to give it to FTR and the Briscoes, of course. Thank you, boys, for putting on such a bloody brilliant spectacle. I loved it. Now, that's all from me. Thank you so much for joining me. Once again, don't forget to follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Stephanie M. Chase. And of course, subscribe to this channel. And I will see you next time. Bye.